WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. It was a big night on Tuesday night. I'm not going to lie to you. I wore out the remote control all the way through, beginning with the Terps early and then the Caps and the Wizards late into the night. This guy was somewhere in the swamps of Jersey. From the Twitter feed, I think they were up on the roof and had obstructed view of all the action there with the Rutgers. He is the play-by-play partner and valet for the great Johnny Holiday. He is on the Terps radio team. You welcome back Chris Nocky, of course, ex-coach Nocky out there on Twitter. Plenty of things for coaches to think about, and Coach Turgeon right now heading into this Michigan State game and this big wheel tournament next week down in D.C., right?
Yeah, it worked out great. Kind of nice to get the mojo back a little bit, Nestor. And, it had been sort of a lost week or 10 days for this club. And anytime you get a chance to remedy it on the road, it always seems to count for more somehow, some way when you're in a hostile environment, and this team has really capitalized in those situations. They've done quite well on the road.
Why have they struggled at home and played well on the road? I mean, I guess that's the million-dollar question. I ask coaches and players that all the time. Why is playing on the road so hard? This team doesn't make it feel so hard. They make home feel tough lately.
Well, they just seem to be so much more loose on the road than they are at home. It's mind-boggling. And the only thing I can think of is that Maryland teams before them have really capitalized on home court advantage, and Xfinity really get depressed. He just shook his head. He said,
when they shoot the ball well, they're going to win games. But against bigger teams, I mean, isn't that really sort of the rub while I was gone in Australia? They're really, really struggling against teams that are killing them in the paint, and they're not going to out-rebound a whole lot of teams.
I mean, honestly, that's been the issue all year long, really. Rebounding has been a problem. And to a degree, the chickens came home to roost like Minnesota. And so it just took a while to sort of regroup and figure that out. That's something that Turge has been addressing regularly in practice. And you're right. They're a little challenged in that area, but they do have some things to offset that. They all handle the ball well. It's a skilled team. So you sort of have to accentuate your positives when you've got, you do have an Achilles heel. Everybody's got some weaknesses somewhere.
It's fun to watch Herter distribute the ball now, isn't it?
Well, I mean, he was sort of a microcosm of the team. He came out with a lot different approach in the second half. He's much more active, very aggressive on the dribble. He's always going to be a good shooter, but when he attacks the basket, it just adds a new dimension to this team. And you saw that in the second half. And, you sort of shake your head. Where is that all the time? But, I mean, you have to remind yourself, even though these guys have played an inordinate amount of minutes, they're still young guys. They're still figuring it all out. And Kevin's no different from Justin Jackson and Anthony Cowan. You see stretches of fabulous play, and then you wonder where they were the last 10 minutes.
Well, then you say Melo Trimble, who should be and is the most talented guy on the team and sort of the veteran leadership. He's kind of played his way into a senior year, hasn't he, Chris?
I hope so. Selfishly. But you know what? I've stopped trying to predict that kind of thing just because I wish I had a nickel for every time a guy went early and my thought process was there's no way he's ready. But then all of a sudden the guy's either making a team or he's picked 10th or 12th in the draft. And so I guess I'm not a good judge of that. He's just a terrific college player. He represents the school and himself and his family in a really beautiful way, and I hope he's back. But that's above my pay grade to kind of figure all that out.
Well, I mean, we have not seen him step forward this year in the way that maybe we would have expected or liked, especially with a team that's been this good, and especially over the last month. If they're going to go anywhere in the tournament the next couple of weeks, this has to be the 2 or 3 best weeks of his career, right?
Well, I mean, you may have been in Adelaide when he dropped 32 on Northwestern and 29 on Wisconsin in back-to-back games. But your point is well taken. I mean, this team is going to probably go as far as Melo takes them, and I don't think there's any secret to that. And I don't think he has to score 32 or 29. what he did last night, 7 assists and 1 turnover, was magnificent. It makes everybody better and makes them harder to cover and harder to deal with. So he doesn't have to be scoring, putting up any gaudy numbers points-wise, but if he's directed traffic like he did last night, they'll be just fine.
Chris, you go back to the era of the ACC tournament, and as I've said, far too many Maryland fans knew far too much about Greensboro over the years. I mean, if you have a favorite bar in Greensboro, you're going there too often. In this case, the Big Ten's probably the same thing with Chicago and Indianapolis, and maybe even Minnesota at some point. But getting the tournament this year, this is special. This is a big deal next week. And I think with the cherry blossoms and first time in and all of these schools and you go into these gyms, you know how rabid basketball can be even in Nebraska or, in Wisconsin or places we don't think about around here. But all these fans are going to descend upon D.C. next week. I have a feeling this tournament's going to be more fun than any ACC tournament.
Yeah, they really care at these schools. And one of the great things about these Big Ten schools is they don't manufacture, any of it. They're serious about their sports, and I love it. The one thing about having it at Verizon is I think the tournament, and I think one of the keys to success for the ACC, and I totally get your point about Greensboro, but I think the tournament will do better if it's in the same location, 7 out of 10 years. I think that if Big Ten fans knew that it was going to be in Indianapolis on a regular basis, I honestly think that's the way to go for a conference tournament. I love the fact that they threw us a bone, and we get it at Verizon, and Rutgers gets the bone next year. We're up in New York City. But I do think these things are better served by being in one location. That's just my own thought process. And Indianapolis was fantastic when we were there. Chicago was good. It's just a really expensive town. Indianapolis was it was a good situation. All the bars and hotels were very conveniently located downtown. It was that's probably a good spot to have it in the future.
He is Chris Nockey. He is ex-coach Nockey out on Twitter, and of course part of the tag team combination along with Johnny Holiday, as well as Walt Williams on occasion on the Terps Radio Network. Chances of winning the tournament, getting through the tournament. I guess the win over Rutgers, the exhale is they're going to make the tournament now.
Well, I think that's true. I think the other thing is that you play yourself into a top 4 seed, and hopefully that's going to happen. And then you get a top 4 seed, which means you get the double bye in the tournament. And I think your chances are exponentially higher to win a conference tournament if, in fact, you only have to play 3 games instead of 4. I just think that the task is made much easier. So hopefully they get a top 4 seed, a double bye, and we're playing on Friday of the tournament.
Chris, for you with the tournament and these teams coming through, it really is a little bit about matchups, right? If they get a big team, if they get a bad matchup, not just next weekend, but once the brackets come out, they're going to do better against shooting teams, right?
Yeah, that's the case. That's the case all along. In college basketball, it's a matchup-driven thing. I think that right now the team that's kind of a matchup nightmare for. Actually, there are 2 of them. Matchup nightmare for everybody. I think Minnesota is playing as well as anybody in the country. They're fantastic. They got a nice set of big men. You got 3 good guards. Very good basketball team. I think Michigan, because of all the veterans that they have, particularly in the backcourt, they're going to be tough to beat. And lastly, Purdue has a guy who could be the National Player of the Year in Caleb Swanigan, who nobody matches up well with. So. Yeah, you gotta play whoever is put in front of you. You're going to have to beat 1 or 2 or maybe all 3 of those teams to win the tournament.
And Michigan State next up here. You talk about disappointments throughout this conference. What's going on at Indiana. Michigan State, however, surging a little bit here. And as you've pointed out, this is a pretty key game for them to try to get that. This is not going to be an easy effort. We knew it when it came out that this thing was going to end sort of with a bang. This would have been the biggest game on the calendar had Michigan State come through this year. They're trying to break through as well. This is a difficult task at home. And as we pointed out, the Terps have struggled at home this month.
Yeah, and you know what? Every game against Michigan State since we've been in the Big Ten has been kind of a steel cage match. They've all been a lot of fun, a lot of drama involved in each game, and this will be no different. These are, I think both teams are going to approach it very much like their bubble teams. I think Michigan State's strength of schedule makes them a very attractive NCAA tournament team. I don't know that they're in necessarily, but they're right there. So, yeah, this is all part of building your resume. And for the Terps, to think that with a win, you could be 24-7 and 12-6 at the end of the regular season. Those are numbers I think any Maryland fan would have taken, 3 months ago.
Oh, last year, this year, next year, any year, right? I mean, if you could do this every single year, you'd be happy with this.
Nestor, there was a time against American U in the opener, they were down 6. Maryland was down 6 with 5 minutes to play. And so to think that they could be 24-7 is really nothing short of remarkable.
Well, at one point they were losing to Stony Brook, right? I mean, Towson was giving them a run. I mean, we're going back to November. They had a bunch of freshmen. I don't want to say they've overachieved no matter what they do, because once the brackets come out next week, you know as well as I do, if you're not playing the second weekend, you're not going to feel good about your season, right?
Yeah. And, with every win, you set the bar higher. And that's what it is with good programs. You expect success. And then when you continually achieve it and you win games, I mean, the bar gets set a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. And that's kind of as it should be.
It's been a good month, I think, if you're a Maryland fan. And I was down for a few of the earlier games before I went over to Australia. And it wasn't Adelaide, by the way. It was Brisbane, just to be clear. I saw Lefty getting honored. I see what they do down there now with the flag coming down and playing all the memories and having all the Joe Smiths and the Tom McMillans and all the you got Walt sitting 5 feet behind you down there. That there really is, they've celebrated this incredible legacy they have there. And I'm not saying that they haven't done that in the past. I think they're getting better at it. And I think the trophy thing last week, amidst obviously not a great effort against Iowa, but a kind of a day of celebration that they always wanted to be Duke, always wanted to be North Carolina or Kentucky or UCLA of the East or whatever it would be. That's been a warm fuzzy, I think, this year to be around the program, especially if you're somebody like me that remembers David Thompson hitting his head on the backboard in 73, 74, that you go back that far, that Maryland really does have something that a lot of programs don't have.
Well, I totally agree with you. The tradition and the legacy is fantastic. The other thing is I got to give big props to the marketing department, marketing promotions, who puts that stuff together, because I think it's brilliant stuff. And it does capitalize on what is really a phenomenal legacy. And sometimes we're too close to see it. When I talk to a guy like Mark Turgeon about it, who is really kind of an outsider to Maryland basketball. I mean, even though he's been the head coach for 6 or 7 years, he goes to great lengths to always point out to me that, it's not like this at other schools. This is special, and there are only a handful of teams. There are almost 400 Division I teams. And there are very few that can lay claim to the kind of tradition and history that you're talking about here. It's a remarkable thing, and I think a lot of us take it for granted.
Well, and I think the other part of that is, look, I went out to Mackey last year. They got a hell of a basketball thing there, but they don't have banners hung up in this generation, going back to Joe Barry Carroll or whatever. Same thing could be said for a lot of these. The Penn States, the Northwesterns, the Rutgers, the Iowa, they'd all love to have the Minnesota. They'd all love to have what Maryland has, or, what Indiana had at one point. Michigan had a Fab Five. Obviously, what Izzo's done, they're sort of the Duke of this conference. But Maryland has now created a little bit of a swath through 2 major conferences. I love being in the Big Ten. I tell people that around the country, and they shake their head at me. How can you say that after Duke and North Carolina? I know there's some bleeding heart Maryland fans. I think the Big Ten's been a wonderful transition for Maryland as a university.
I totally agree. It doesn't have anything to do with the money's great, but it's a really special sort of association. And I love going on the road in the Big Ten, and I can't speak necessarily about Rutgers in the same way, but a lot of the other schools, I mean, they treat their sports, it's a special, special thing. It's not like being at Clemson on a Tuesday night or Florida State on a Monday night at 9 o'clock, where you get a building that's got 3,000 people in it. This is big time. And people downplay the level of play in the Big Ten this year. Whatever. It's a Power 5 conference, got a lot of young players in it. These things are cyclical to a degree, and I really enjoy the conference myself.
Hey, rest up. You got a game on Saturday, and we got a hell of a tournament next weekend down in D.C. Luke and I will be in the house down there. Chris, it's always great to visit with you, man.
All right, thanks. Welcome back, Nestor.
Good to be back. He is ex-coach Naki out on Twitter. He is Chris Naki. You can follow his journey out on Twitter or on the Terps Radio Network, as he is a self-proclaimed valet for the great Johnny Holiday. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Just download that TuneIn Radio app. The morning newspaper comes to you at 7 a.m. each and every morning. It's brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. And if there's any breaking news here over the next weekend, I know the Ravens are going to create news. The Orioles are going to have cuts. Who knows what's going to happen with the Terps going into seeding in Big Ten and the NCAA big board next week. You'll get it first on the WNST text service if it's news. If it's not, it's just spam and it's not coming your way. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday driving you home from 3 until 5. Nasty at WNST.net. That's the only email that finds me. I am a very available individual, just like Mr. Angelos. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live anywhere you are on Facebook Live and our YouTube WNSTV channel. Our London trip is on sale for the Ravens, and we've got head coach Barry Trotz joining us here in Baltimore on Monday, March 20th. Circle that, hold that on your calendar if you're a Rock the Red fan, and who's not at this point? Caps, Wizards, Terps, exciting times, Orioles spring training, Ravens at the Combine and the draft and free agency coming up. It's a pretty good time right here. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.